Hi everyone, Adam Gilbert here, and this video is a follow-up to my previous one where I showed how to access and distribute the interactive notebooks I wrote as a companion to the OpenIntro Statistics textbook. I'll drop the link to that video in the description to this one in case you haven't seen it yet. But in this video, I want to walk you through a set of companion grading resources that are designed to make your life easier when it comes time to grading student work if you are using these as a graded component in one of your courses. This landing page is something that I'll also drop the link to in the description to this video, so you'll be able to navigate to it easily, and it contains a link to that Google Drive folder, which I'll open now. In the Google Drive folder, you'll see 3 files. What you're going to do is you're going to copy 2 of them. You don't actually need the third because you'll make a copy of it automatically via your Google form once it's moved to your folder. So first, let's take a look at the hashcode submission form. This is the one with the purple icon. I'm going to have you come over here to the triple dots. You just have to make sure that you're logged into your Google account. And you're going to make a copy of this file. And we're going to do the same thing actually with the grading script. So we'll use the triple dots icon. We're going to make a copy again. That hashcode submission form is a backend spreadsheet that's tied to the purple hashcode submission form. So this is an actual Google form that students can drop information into, including the hash codes that they'll generate. Again, we're not going to copy that one now. We'll create it in your Google Drive. We'll take a look at these files in a moment, but I'm going to move over to my Google Drive here, and what we should see is 2 files in it now. So this is a fresh Google account with nothing in the Google Drive. I'm going to, for sanity's sake, create a new folder and call it OpenIntro Grading. And I'm going to drop these files into that new folder. Probably an unnecessary step right now, but it's going to bother me if I don't do it. I'm going to remove copy of from the file names here. That has no impact on the grading functionality. It just looks better to me. But after doing this, we'll take a look at these files. So we'll start with the hashcode submission form. I'm just going to double click on it and open it. So here you can see what the submission form is collecting. So it's collecting first name and last name. This is so you can identify students and tie them back to the grade that they've earned. If you suspect that you have students with common names where you'll have duplicates in a semester, then you can edit this form and add additional questions to it. If you do that though, you'll need to update the grading script, which I'll show you how to do when we get there. In particular, in that grading script, you'll have to change line 58 where the column names are being overwritten. And I'll point you to that when we take a look at the grading script. This form also collects information like the semester that the student is taking the course and the year that the student is taking the course. This is all editable, so if you're not on the same semester system as I am, you can change that, and eventually you'll have to change the years if you continue to use these into the future. Next, there's a list of notebooks that students will choose from as they're taking a look, as they're deciding as they're submitting their hash codes. So they'll pick the notebook that they've worked on and completed. They'll also then drop in the hash code, and they have an opportunity to rate their level of confidence and understanding. I find this pretty helpful to me as an instructor when I'm walking into class after students have completed the notebook. And then optionally, students can include any questions or comments they have. In particular, the students who are less comfortable asking questions in a class setting have really enjoyed having this opportunity because it allows me to look at their questions before class and make sure that those questions are being addressed. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to show you what this looks like from a student standpoint. So I do have my hashcode submission form open, we'll actually go through and we'll submit something to it. So I'm going to open up the topic 5 notebook. I've got that one partially done. So we'll let that load for a second. I'm going to pop it out because it's easier to read these when they're popped out. You have access to the table of contents. Every notebook, again, has the submit section, which is the one we're going to look at right now. But they also, as a reminder, have this start over button, which will allow you or students to reset their progress if you want to go back and revisit content as if you've never seen it before. So we'll go to the submit section. If you've seen the first video, you're familiar with this. There's a generate button. That generate button will generate a hash code that encodes the work that the student has done. This is what they're going to submit to you through the Google form. What you should make sure to do with your students is to make sure they use this clipboard icon when they're copying the hash code, because if they don't copy everything, if they miss part of the beginning or end of the hash code, this will crash the grading script. You'll be identified which row of the collection spreadsheet has the error in it, and you'll have to go in and delete their submission and ask them to resubmit. But if they use the clipboard icon, all of that is ignored. And so with that hash code copied, I'm going to come back to the hash code submission form. I'm going to type in my name. I'm going to type in, or I'm going to select the semester that I'm working in. I'm just going to choose spring and 2025 because I do have some hash codes selected from that term. So when we run the grading script, we'll be able to see some results and you'll be able to see what it looks like with some sort of volume of students. We just generated the hash code corresponding to the topic 5 notebook, 5 discrete probability. We'll come back to this when we take a look at the grading script again. We're going to copy and paste our hash code into this box. Nothing else can go into this box. So if a student adds some text here, again, that will crash the grading script. And you'll have to come in, delete their row, and then ask them to resubmit. They'll select how they felt about the content in the video, in the interactive notebook, just a 1 to 10 rating scale, and they can leave a comment. So I didn't have time to finish, maybe. And then they submit, and the response has been recorded in the back-end spreadsheet. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to go back to your copy of the Google form. So that's in this tab. We're going to now generate that back-end spreadsheet to collect student responses. So we're going to click on the responses section, and all you've got to do here is click on that green Google Sheets icon, and that's going to create a new spreadsheet. You can leave the name the same, hit create. And if we go back, so that spreadsheet will pop up. You'll be able to see the columns of information that you're collecting. If we go back to our Google Drive now and refresh, we should see that we've got all 3 of those files copied over now. At this point, let's take a look at the grading script. We'll walk through what's there and how to use it. Before we do that, probably of use to you all is to talk about how to share this form with your students. Really easy to do that. There's this hyperlink icon here in the top right. That's to copy the responder link. So all you've got to do is click on it, copy it, and now you can send it to students as is or in a weekly announcement. Your choice there. But with that link, they will navigate to the version of the form where they're filling things in and completing it. All right, so let's head over to take a look at that grading script now. We're going to go back to the Google Drive folder that we created that has our files in it. You're going to double click on the grading script and you'll download it. Then you'll be able to open it in RStudio or your preferred IDE. I've got mine open now, so rather than download it, I've got this one already open and ready to go. First things first, when you open the script, you may notice a yellow banner here. indicating that you're missing some of the packages that are required to run the script. If that's the case, there's a quick, easy link, hyperlink button. Install is the text that accompanies it. You can click on it to install all those packages, or you can go into the console and run install.packages as usual. Now with the grading script, in lines 1 through 29 or so, you'll see some instructions for how I intend you to use the grading script. I've tried to be clear with things like line numbers and options, but we'll take a walk through them now. So in line 39, we're going to update the semester. Remember, in my form, I had this set to fall, spring, summer, or other. You may edit the options for your form. If you do so, just make sure to change these so that you remember. But here again, in line 39 is the semester option. I've dropped some fabricated student data into spring 2025, and I've used the random names package to generate some random student names around along with that data. This way we have just some fabricated scores that we can take a look at once we run the grading script. So back up to the top in line 40, we're going to update the year. I'm going to leave this as 2025, but as years go on, you'll change that. Next is the notebook name. Generally, the number and the first word from the Google form dropdown is fine. So what I want to do is not take a look at the first notebook. We're going to take a look at the fifth. So let's go back to that Google form for a second. And I'm going to take a look at the dropdown for the notebook names. And that notebook starts with the number 5 and then the word discrete. This is case sensitive. You can change that if you know how to use the toLower function. You can update the script. But for now, I'm just going to leave it as capitalized D. So I'm going to go into the grading script. I'm going to change the notebook ID to 5, followed by the word discrete. You can type out the whole notebook name if you want, but that's up to you. So I'm going to use 5, discrete. Next things to change here are some weightings. So you can change the correctness weight. This again is part of the instructions for using the notebook. So in line 44, there's the correctness portion of the grade. So this is how heavily you're weighting whether students get things correct or incorrect. The remaining grade weight will just be associated with completeness or effort. Did they interact with all of the items in the notebook or not? So we can update those. All you need to do is update the correctness weight. So I'm weighting 20% of the grade as whether the students got the questions right or wrong. I do that because I have students work through these before class time, so before we've talked about any of the content. But if you want to grade this more heavily or lighter, all you've got to do is change the proportion here in line 44. If you wanted everything to be correct and nothing to be based on effort, you can set that to 1. The effort weight will update automatically in line 45. So I'm going to go back to 20% correctness and then 80% effort. The next thing that you can update is the weighting. So when students are working through these notebooks, they'll encounter multiple choice questions and code block questions. Right now, I'm weighting the code block questions 50% and the multiple choice questions 50%. So equal weighting on the two. You can adjust that again however you want. In the notebook, something to be aware of is those multiple choice questions are set up so that students can try them over and over again without penalty. So ideally, students who are working through these will get all of those multiple choice questions correct. So just be aware of that when you're setting up this weighting. The next thing is the most important thing about the grading script. It's something that you're going to update once and only once. So this is us updating the file path to the hash form response spreadsheet. So we're going to go to our Google Drive folder and we're going to take a look at that spreadsheet. So this link won't work for you. You're going to replace it. So we're heading here to our Google Drive folder. So this is the one that I set up at the beginning of this video. We're going to grab the hash code submission form. So this is the Google Sheet version. So it's the one that's collecting the responses. You're going to go to share and we're going to copy the sharing link. That's the link that's going to go into this path to sheet section. So we will paste it there. So now the grading script is pointing to our spreadsheet in our Google Drive. Nothing else needs to be changed here. So everything from here down you can look at if you're interested in. You can make some changes if you want, but everything is set just to run as is. One thing that we had mentioned earlier in the video is if you do make changes to that Google form, then your backend spreadsheet structure is going to be slightly different if you add questions in particular. So you will want to update this line 58 where we're renaming the column names. So just pay attention to that. So at this point, we're ready to run the grading script. Again, just remember if you've got that yellow banner at the top indicating that you're missing packages, you'll want to install those packages. When we run this for the first time, we should be prompted to allow basically this Google Sheets 4 package to access our Google Drive. I think that will happen to me here. So I'm going to run this. And you'll see that nothing is really running. It's just, hey, enter a selection over and over and over again. The first time you do this, I think you'll probably only be presented with the options 1 or 0. I'm going to choose 1 right now. After you've chosen 1 and gone through the permission settings, then you can safely choose 2. 2 is an option just to refresh your authentication, so you don't have to open up the pop-up window and click any buttons. So pressing 1 opens a new tab in my web browser. It asks me to select my Google account, so I'm choosing the new Google account that I created. It's indicating to me that the Tidyverse API wants to access my Google Drive, so I'm going to continue. You do need to allow the Tidyverse API packages to be able to see, edit, create, and delete all of your Google Sheets spreadsheets. This is just so that it can access the contents of that grading spreadsheet. It won't actually create or delete anything unless you ask it to explicitly. So I'm going to add those permissions and I'm going to continue. The page now refreshes and indicates that authentication is complete. We can return to R. So I'm just going to close that tab. I'm going to go back to R. I'm going to hit Command and A again, or Control A if I'm on a Windows machine. This is just highlighting all of the lines in the script. And then I'm going to hit Command and Enter or Control and Enter to run that script. Everything runs, and I've done a few things for you that I hope are helpful. So first we can take a look at the plotting pane. In here, I've got some exercise results. So exercises are the code blocks. I've got purple indicating the count of students who responded to each exercise block or each code block correctly. Red indicates a student wasn't able to come back and correctly engage with that code block, so they ended up getting that activity wrong. And gray is NA, so this is a student who put something into a code block and ran it, but didn't hit the submit answer button. So as students are getting used to working with these notebooks, reminding them to hit the submit answer button is important. So we'll close that one. So again, this is just giving you a snapshot of what students had trouble with. I generally pay most attention to the red portions of the bars. If we cycle back by 1 in the plots, this will give us a view of the multiple choice questions. Generally, this one doesn't have as many incorrect answers. So you'll really lean on students and their comments and the submitted questions or the questions they ask in class to help you understand where they had trouble and where they felt good. This last plot, I think for me, is a really nice snapshot of the class overview. So this is a distribution of the selection students made on their overall comfort level with the content in the notebook. So for this particular notebook, people are on average sitting around a 7 or so. Nobody totally lost, but there are some people who, in the fabricated data set that we're working with here, didn't feel very comfortable. So this gives you a snapshot as to how detailed you need to be with your discussions. If everybody's up here at the top indicating perfect comfort, maybe you can switch things up and do something more interesting with class, like work with a new data set. Other things that are useful to you, so as you're grading these, this overall scores data frame is the one that I use to update my gradebook. So what I'll do is I'll just click on it to view it. It shows up here in the top left pane as a spreadsheet essentially. I will click on the last name column. This will sort by alphabetical order, and then I will just go to my gradebook and update grades. Some people are interested in how students performed on code block activities versus question, like the multiple choice question activities in particular. So there are options. So I'm creating those spreadsheets as well. So here's some information on those code blocks. You can sort by last name, and then see the questions that were answered. You can see, so the total number of questions answered, the total number correct, the percentage that they actually answered and engaged with. This row corresponds to me, so I didn't replace my name, but I had only answered or engaged with one code block, and so I'm dinged for that. And you can see the weighted scores for the code blocks. Same thing goes for those questions as well. So you can take a look through and see how students performed overall in the questions. All right, so I think that's probably it for now. You've had an overview of the grading resources, how to obtain copies for yourself, and how to use them. Before I close the video, perhaps mentioning some additional items is useful. We did mention this, I think, briefly in the video. If a student submits something other than a hash code in that hash field of the Google form, so that's here, that will crash the grading script. You'll get a warning message indicating incompatibility in some rows. In this case, you'll have to go into that backend spreadsheet. You'll have to open it, and you'll have to go through and explicitly delete the offending rows, is the easiest way that I've found to deal with that. And then you'll just remind the student to resubmit their hash code. And again, just remind them, hey, this box is only for hash codes. That way you're not dealing with headaches forever. So thank you, everyone, for watching. I hope you and your students find the companion notebooks useful, and I hope you find these grading resources useful as you assign these in your classes. Thanks, everybody.